So here are some shocking cool facts that I learned after daily driving the latest M4 MacBook Air. And this one, yes, happens to be the sky blue color. And it's the large 15-inch, which I highly recommend for other content creators or somebody who just needs a lot of screen real estate space. But after rendering some 4K videos using Final Cut Pro, I'm extremely impressed how powerful this is, as this easily replaced my M1 MacBook Pro that I've been daily driving as my portable laptop. It's able to render videos, export them just fine, and as an added bonus, it's fanless. Now this can be a pro and a con, and something that a lot of people always tend to overlook is monitor your temperature levels, because this thing, when it's exporting a video, it's just cruising at 100 degrees, which is pretty hot for PC components. So definitely do plan on investing in one of those like lap fans things that you typically will find at like Marshall's or something to help cool down this laptop so you don't end up burning your lap, you know. But aside from that, I'm really surprised how quiet it is. It is fanless, and once it's done rendering, the thermals are really good because it cools down the machine naturally by itself immediately back to safe performance levels. So it's still quite incredible that this M4 can easily outperform more expensive machines without breaking a sweat. Now for the first time, this is the first MacBook Air that actually does support dual monitor displays, including the third one being itself. So you can actually have two 6K monitors hooked up to this at 60 Hertz. And the MacBook Air is more than capable of doing that, including the ability to run its own. So that's a first, and that was really impressive. And I already plugged it in on one of my 4K monitors and it was cruising like a pro. So back on its silence levels, I'm still getting used to this because all my devices I had in the past all had internal fans. And the fact that I'm able to operate this thing like an iPad at times, it feels like, without hearing any fan noises, it's quite incredible. So just something I wanted to highlight for number 3. Now the battery life, coming from a MacBook Pro, my battery life on the MacBook Pro, so long as I'm just doing casual stuff like on the internet, social media platforms, monitoring, business stuff, expensive, paying bills, you know, general computer stuff, my MacBook Pro was always able to give me a comfortable battery life percentage. But when I'm just using this casually, there's barely any battery drop in percentage. So the 18-hour mark that the MacBook Air can deliver under casual use is still quite incredible, which explains why a lot of students or classmates of mine would always daily drive a MacBook Air versus a MacBook Pro. The experience is very similar to like battery life I expect to find on my iPad mini, which is quite incredible of a large display like this can stay juiced up for that long. So yeah, the 15 to 18 hour battery life that the MacBook Air has advertised is no joke for just casual use, of course. And when using a power adapter that's so long as it's 70 watt or greater, this machine could easily be charged back up to 50% in just 30 minutes. For a laptop, that's actually quite incredible. That's basically smartphone territory for a smaller battery. And then, of course, the return of MagSafe 3. Yes, this has it with the color matching cable to match the new body design. I have it on my space blue and it looks fantastic, but it's also compatible to be used with other MagSafe. So long as the MagSafe 3, you could continue using the same port you will be using to charge like your MacBook Pro, of course. And then don't panic, if you forget your MagSafe, you can always just charge it with the 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports that it has on the side, as it does accept power. But the last final shocking one that got all of our attention is the fact that it's $100 cheaper than last year's variant. You see, the M3 is actually $100 more when it was selling brand new in its retail price than the more powerful and the latest, so it's an additional color option, M4 that we have here. So that was quite shocking and impressive that Apple actually did that. So this is definitely a great value device if you're just generally planning on using this machine as a student or work focused laptop. But now this is the best part. Right now both machines are just on idle, right? Here's a fan MacBook Pro and it's idling around 45 Celsius. There you go. Ideal safe spot. This, the MacBook Air, is idling around 42 Celsius, which is perfect. The thermoing that the MacBook Air has is quite amazing because this actually has an internal fan and it's somehow cooler. But let's see how it's like under load. So here's a file that's m.v that I'm going to export to an MP4 using Handbrake. Identical files. And what we're about to see is what temperature did they reach under load. So let's get that started. So here they are, same setting, 4K, overwrite the existing one, 4K, and start. And they're exporting 4K at 30 FPS. And let's let it hover for a good 2 minutes real quick. All right, so we're 2 minutes in, and clearly it's not rendering as quickly as it's rendering an average of 27 FPS. Meanwhile, the M4 is rendering at 31 FPS. Now there's no internal fan on this machine, so we are hovering at 104 Celsius, which is, according to Reddit, that's pretty hot. And then the MacBook Pro, you can hear the fan kicking in. It's hovering in just under 100 Celsius, 98 Celsius, and the CPU is running at 100%. Meanwhile, this thing, yeah, it's definitely hovering a lot higher, but not crazy as high as I originally anticipated it was going to be. But for general use, as you saw earlier, they were just happy as it can be. This was surprisingly a lot cooler than the one with the fan. So just information to definitely keep in mind. So for those type of general usage, I would recommend this M4. But if you're planning on using like Photoshop like once a while, or Lightroom or something like that along that nature, for only like 5 minutes or something real quick, because your main editing machine is at home or something like that, or you use another computer, this is just your daily driver to travel with, you should be perfectly fine. And then if you're curious to know what kind of specs I personally picked up on my MacBook Air, I just picked the base 15-inch version, which means I have 256 gigabytes. And out of box, I was quite shocked to see that I have a little bit over 200 gigs left available storage after updating, as well as setting up my profile and not installing any apps yet. So out of box, I was quite surprised I was still over the 200 marks. But in terms of performance, in case you guys were curious, the numbers are right there on the screen. That was how they all look like after I was done setting up my Mac. Impressive numbers, but again, I'm not going to primarily be focusing on using the internal storage on this machine. I'm likely just going to use something like this Samsung T7 SSD. I have 2 terabytes, super lightweight, plugs in, durable, and that's how I basically save myself a lot of money instead of upgrading from Apple's ridiculous markup prices on their storage. So massive con there, but that's a clever walk around how I'm able to get things done and still having powerful performance read and write numbers. And then additionally, the 16 gigs default storage, or not storage, default RAM memory is a massive pro, which was a random default upgrade that every Mac computer received, all thanks to Apple Intelligence, because Apple Intelligence requires 8 gigs or more to run it with ideal performance. So thanks to Apple Intelligence, the MacBook Air no longer has the default 8 gigabytes of RAM storage. Now it's the default is 16, which is ideal for all type of purposes, not just video editing, but also photo editing. But if you like to upgrade to something more, there is a 24 as well as a 32 RAM option additionally. But personally, I've been able to render my videos and export them, as well as use a little bit of Photoshop without maximizing my storage amount. But if you're doing it all at once instead of doing one task at a time like I typically would, maybe it would be wise to upgrade the RAM. But 16 gigs, I'm quite impressed how far the standard 16 gigs was able to deliver and get me. That's not once I felt like my computer's running out of memory. But other than that, there you guys have it. That is all the cool things on the latest generation MacBook Air. Let me know in the comment section if you picked one up. If you did, how's your experience been like? And what kind of battery life numbers are you getting? I'm curious to see what everybody else is also getting when it comes to daily tasks, and also mention what size screen you got as well. Thank you so much for watching.